Hello everyone, just a quick word from your friendly editor/husband. For all of you who listen to So I'm Watching This Show and own an Android device, do me a favor. Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android devices. I use the app and love it. I can search for the podcasts I want to listen to, select them as favorites, and have them all just a click away. Make sure you set So I'm Watching the Show as a favorite so you don't miss any new episodes. Again, the app is Podcast Republic, available on your Android device. Thanks!
I was talking to Martin the other day, and I called him, and he answered and we chatted for a minute. He was like, I got a story to tell you. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I was talking to Amira the other day, and she was like, oh, by the way, she was like, Will asked me about transitioning. And she was like, apparently he's considering doing it and blah, 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 blah. And she was just talking, and he was like, what? And she was like, yeah, he texted me a bunch of questions about it. And he was like, why the fuck is he talking to you about that? And she was like, I don't know. She was like, he figured that I knew a lot about it. And he was like, huh? And it went around in circles a couple times. And finally he goes, what do you think we're talking about? And she was like, Will asked me some questions about transitioning into vegan lifestyle. And he was like, that is not what that word means.
No, it's definitely not what that word means.
No.
I was like, is this how you chose to tell me that you are doing something, Will?
He was so offended, and his feelings were actually hurt. He was like,
you wouldn't talk to him about it?
Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know if I would. And he was like, you better. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I'm not. I was like, and he was like, that's what I was thinking. He was like, where did that come from?
Oh, bless Martin. He's just such a delight.
I was like, I might wear a sensible high heel occasionally, or maybe a Jared Leto leather skirt thingy. But
sure, but that's just the way you're presenting, not a full lifestyle change.
I mean, I've had the thought several times where I've been like, maybe my life would have been easier if I was a woman, but having lived 34 years of it as a man,
not.
I don't want to trade that in.
Yeah, no. Definitely not.
No, things have to be lifted. They have to be tucked. There are fasteners. It's just
all the social inequality.
Ugh, yeah. Ugh, gross.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show. On today's episode, a full year later, apparently, we are finishing season 3 of Buffy. That the first part came out in October last year.
Yeah.
I thought it was sooner than that.
No, we just put it off for the whole of the year. We just kept on not putting it in the schedule.
Well, we were trying to go every other month with Buffy and Teen Wolf, and then I don't know, Teen Wolf we did in January, and then this year just it took off. So on today's episode, though, we have a very special guest commentator. It is our friend Rachel.
It's me. I'm finally here.
I'm the winner. So,
I'm
Rachel,
a real life person. I swear.
She exists. We told you, and now we have proof.
She has been there from day one. That, as a matter of fact, the only way I was even able to do this show in the first place was I had to pretend that that Rachel was the only person listening.
Yeah.
Because I was so freaked out the first time we were recording, so.
And for a minute, she probably was the only person listening.
I remember the first episode I got to listen to. I was sitting in the food court of the mall I used to work at on my lunch break, and I'm just laughing and just smiling like a loon by myself. And they're like, who is this girl in all black? Already I'm setting myself up for failure, just smiling like a crazy person.
We're going to talk about the back half of season 3 of Buffy. And is there any establishing that we want to do? I guess, Rachel, since this is your first time, do you want to say anything about Buffy in general?
Sure. I guess, so I learned about Buffy when I was on the school bus when I was in 6th or 7th grade. this girl named Anna Langley, who is definitely not listening to this, but shout out to Anna Langley anyway. She was telling me about this show that her older sister watched. And because I think I was telling her about how vampires were like my biggest fear because of the Dracula episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And she was like, you might like this show. And so I watched it. And
what a weird suggestion.
I don't know, 6th grade, man. We're like playing on our Tamagotchis. It was a weird time.
That's a sentence.
Yeah, so I watched it and it just really resonated with me because here we are looking at this girl who is just the girliest of all the girls, but who is a total bad bitch. It just was really refreshing to see because I am the only girl in my family and I am surrounded by like the broiest, manliest of men. And I was very unaccustomed to being looked at as like the strong warrior person of the family. And so it was just kind of really nice to have that.
Which you are.
Yeah, you definitely are.
Which I got the confirmation when my dad was here last week when he was like, I don't worry about you. I worry about your brothers. I don't worry about you. And I'm like, oh my God, Dad, thank you so much. But it just was really nice to have like a strong, powerful female figure who was still like saying really funny quips and, you know, was excited about like going to the prom and stuff like that. So
she's like a ballet girl.
Yes, it was so great. And so, you know, I would run home every Tuesday after CCD and, you know, like I was banished to my dad's room to watch it on this like teeny tiny television that was like so fuzzy and like you could barely see it. And it's my favorite show of all time. I really, it's been a minute since I've watched it. So really kind of getting back into it. It's just like, oh God, I just love it so much. So there's a long story for that. So there you go.
If you've listened to our Buffy episodes before, this is just pure refresher, but I'm assuming people tune in at different points, so I'll go ahead and say that, like, Kristin is a super fan, as is Rachel, and I'm very much a casual fan. I have my reasons. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. I'm glad that it exists, and I'm so happy for the people that love it, but it didn't completely resonate with me for reasons that are very superficial and unique to me.
It's just not very pretty, especially in the early goings.
Oh,
yeah, and it's just, I don't have an affinity for older things if they're not nostalgic, you know what I mean? It's like, for me, I would just rather watch Teen Wolf because it's kind of the same show, only glossier. And so I was dragging my feet with this. I was just like not in the mood at all, but I knew we had to do it. And so I like slogged through like the first 2 episodes. And then as always, it actually got good. I always forget that I do end up enjoying it once I get in there.
Well, if it helps you, I also was dragging my feet and slogged through most of it because season 3 is not my fave.
Okay.
Second half of season 3 is one of my favorites. Usually when I would do my rewatch, that's where I would start. Actually, where we started for this recording, that's usually where I would pick up. I don't really care for the first and second season. Although
season 2 is my favorite.
Really? Yeah. It just, I don't know. This one was where it kind of like started to turn for me. But the episode, it was the one with the mask where it was like the zombie mask that turned the people crazy. I don't remember that one. Yeah. I love that one just because there's the part about where Buffy tells Cordelia to get out of her shoes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's my favorite. But then just the way there was a shift definitely like tonally and just the way it was shot in this, I guess in this succession that I just really started to get good. And I was like, now I remember that this is where I like it.
I agree with that because it's like, I remember liking it more once they're older, like once they're out of high school. And so you're really getting that, like you're getting more of the maturity. Buffy and Cordelia at least are 18. And so for me, that's sort of like where I'm like, okay, sweet. And also, I mean, I get why, Kristin, you like season 2. But also, I'm just like, I don't really like Angel. And I'm like,
No, that's why I like season 2 because it's evil Angel.
No, I know. We've talked about it. We did a whole episode, 2 episodes about it.
I can't. That's why I don't love season 3 because I can't handle the like moon eyes that Angel and Buffy make at each other. And to the point where I was like scoffing at it. And when Will came out in the living room the other day and he was like, did you like have a hard time coming around on David Boreanaz or something? Because like you hate him so much. And I was like, no, I love David Boreanaz. He's hot. And I think he's like a decent enough actor that it's fine, whatever. But I was like, I hate Angel and Buffy. And he was like, I don't get it. And I was like, I liked it when I was a child because I didn't know any better and I thought it was romantic and star-crossed. And I was like, I'm an adult now and it's fucking creepy and gross.
He looks like a rock with spiky hair.
Also, yes.
Yeah.
Angel's bloody stupid. His hair sticks straight up. Yeah, I mean.
And I just don't remember. He just looks like a gargoyle. Like the gargoyle that's like sitting outside of his mansion or whatever. It's just like, why do you look like that?
Well, he also has like the most pronounced Neanderthal ridge I've ever seen.
Yes, he does.
His forehead is ridiculous.
Do a swan dive off of it.
No, so I was watching these episodes again with my brother's girlfriend, Corey. She watched some of the part 1 episodes as well. Mm-hmm. And it was really funny because she was largely being a little bit, not largely, but she was being a little bit snarky and she was kind of teasing it. And we got, a good 3 or 4 episodes in and she was like, I'm actually enjoying it, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. And it was just so funny. She's like 9 years younger than us. So
I always forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, it's like we're very close. And in other ways, it's kind of like, a generation apart. And it was just so funny hearing her genuine reactions to this stuff in the first place. And I couldn't wait to tell you, Kristin, she hated Angel so much.
Sweet.
Everything. I can't wait for you guys to talk about it because he would just say stuff and she'd be like, yeah, oh, great. Yeah, thrust this on this 17-year-old girl. Now it's like her responsibility to deal with your bullshit. Like,
yeah, totally. The other thing.
Hashtag triggered.
Yeah. I just I don't know. There's so much because I look at the season and I actually, going through it so far, this is a season I've had the hardest time paring down the episodes for you to watch because I don't love the season, but it does have a density of excellent episodes. And so it and I know I've said it before on every single episode we've done about Buffy, but I actually love Angel on Angel.
Mm-hmm.
I think Angel on Buffy is trash. When he's on his own show, it's so much better somehow. I don't know what happened, but he's so much better on Angel as a character.
I thought really long and hard about this, and I think I'm going to go ahead and say it, but I am prepared to watch Angel, and I think we should do it now. Like maybe within the next month or 2.
Okay.
I don't know how we want to release it, if we want to do seasons or do Patreon stuff, but I'm prepared to actually, I'll give it a solid go.
Okay.
Does it come out of the gate strong or does it take a while?
I think it comes out of the gate pretty strong.
Okay.
I would insist you give it 5 episodes.
Oh, I went a year or 2, a season or 2.
Perfect. Well, it definitely comes out of the gate. If that's what you mean by comes out of the gate, then yes, by season 2, it's excellent.
Okay, I think I'm ready to actually give it a good go.
You can't take it back. This is on.
I know, it's recorded.
This is set in stone now.
I will, because you keep telling me that Cordelia's best material is all in Angel.
Up until season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm prepared. I think I'm ready. So
you gotta be prepared for some really hideous haircuts on her, though.
Her hair was really bad this season until graduation. I was like, somebody get this girl a flat ironed, and the heavens heard me.
But her hair on Angel is even worse.
Oh,
well, I was gonna be I can handle all of Anya's changing stuff.
Well, yeah,
does she
Anya
have
has
the ugly short bangs? Does that ever happen at any point?
Only for it's sort of like Buffy in this season where it's only for 2 episodes. Okay. And I think it's in season 3.
Ugh.
But the rest of the hair is worse than that. So
oh no.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, so I think we're going to do like we usually do and go by a little bit episode by episode. And I definitely have like 4 or 5 notes for each episode. And obviously you guys can chime in. But I did want to say something at the top that I don't think I've ever said before because it just dawned on me. But something about the show that I find very interesting. And frankly, I think it's one of the reasons why it doesn't resonate with me quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I realize that it largely makes up its own mythology.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not dealing with like Medusa or Judas or like Pandora's box. Like it, with the exception of like Dracula here or there, it's like almost entirely its own creation.
Yeah, it's like a kind of a problem in the fandom because a lot of it is circular and contradictory.
Yeah.
It's a problem. It's a real problem. Having been part of the fandom for going on 20 years now, it's a problem. People get really mad about it.
They were just writing a script. They didn't.
Right. No, but that's the thing is like there's stuff that happens later that it's like they clearly didn't go back to the beginning to like source themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's annoying.
My least favorite aspect of this show and many shows is like the monster of the week stuff. I prefer much more like and Faith isn't even really my favorite character. I find her kind of annoying, but she is at least a compelling like force on the show, and the arc is interesting.
Yeah. She gets some more on Angel also in between. Okay. Which is good. And I would also say that season 3 Faith and season 4 Faith is just like crazier, but season 3 Faith is now my favorite, but I love season 7 Faith because she's still the same character, but there's growth.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was going to let you guys lead the conversation, and I even wrote a note that said, I'm just here to add words like wilt and henceforth.
Well, the first thing I'll say is if you listen to our last episode with Trevor and you're listening to this now, you'll notice that we skipped over the abysmal episode called Amends, which was the Christmas episode this year.
I feel bad, Trevor, and we'll definitely have Trevor back. We'll just alternate. Or even all four of us could do one, because Rachel and Trevor, I feel like would get along.
Fun.
But
we interact on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but Trevor wanted to do a, like, pitch for it or an in defense of it, and we just completely bypassed.
I cannot be fucked to listen to that. I'm sorry. I think Amends is so bad. If Amends had gone differently, Angel would be dead. Which one would be better. It's like Christmas, and it honestly, it's helpful. We might have to end up watching it before season 7 because it's the first evil is in Amends, and it's like taunting Angel and trying to make him commit suicide because he's like needed for the big battle or whatever. And it starts snowing at the end, so the sun doesn't come up. Yeah, I hate it.
Oh my God, that made me so mad. I was like, that can't happen.
And that's when Buffy has the baby bangs.
Oh, I know. I saw it's in the thumbnail, and it just makes me want to turn my body inside out. Who made that decision? Like,
I hate that episode.
Well, granted, this is also coming from the person who fell into like the trend of wearing skirts over jeans, so I can't necessarily like fully defend myself, but still, ew.
Yeah, it's real bad. So we started off with Gingerbread, which is basically the Hansel and Gretel retelling. I was having such a good time watching it because it just is deeply funny when Joyce, like, for the first time ever, goes to, like, hang out with Buffy on patrol.
Yes.
And she, like, immediately sees these, like, dead children and starts acting as though they're the only children who have ever died in the history of the world.
Like, also, how many children have probably died at her house?
Well, and not to mention, I put it on Twitter the other day, but she has a niece who died, you know? Buffy's cousin Celia died, and I'm just like, I don't know. And then she makes this fucking organization called Moo, which is also deeply hilarious. And so it just is, and I love all of her interactions with Sheila Rosenberg. It's just so good. But it gets so real when they're like burning the girls alive at the stake.
Yeah. And well, and I just love that it's basically just like their version of Satanic Panic.
Exactly, yeah. But like 15 years too late.
Well, and I just love that, like, while they're setting their children on fire, Joyce and Willow's mom are like, we should keep in touch. Let's do lunch.
Get lunch.
Yeah, and I just, like, how aloof and just, like, a space case Willow's mother is. She's like, oh, yeah.
Well, she keeps calling Buffy Bunny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want you hanging out with that Bunny Summers anymore.
Yeah. Also, can we just talk about how there was a literal spotlight at City Hall? Anytime that they were doing the press conference, there was like a full spot. I'm like, at what City Hall do they like have the capacity to have a full spotlight? And also, where can I get one? Because your girl needs one.
The mayor knows what he's doing.
I did want to add one thing that kind of bothered me that I didn't notice until I watched it this time. Mm-hmm. They are having these like the stake burnings in a closed windowed room. Did no one think about that fact that it might burn down the entire space?
That's a good point.
Yeah, because I was watching, I'm like, all of the doors are closed and locked, and all of the windows are closed and locked. No one's gonna, like, choke on the smoke?
There's no oxygen in that room.
Yeah. that's so hilarious because it literally didn't occur to me until you said it.
Yeah, and Xander and Oz are like running around trying to open things and everything's locked.
Yeah.
And
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like that's a problem.
Okay, so episode 12. Is that the next one? That's the first one I have.
Yeah, it's called Helpless. It's the when
Oh, that's one of my favorites too. Oh.
Yeah, me too. It's Buffy turns 18.
Yes. I remember watching this episode and being so scared. So scared because the way that they filmed it, a lot of it was in such shadow. I'm getting ahead of myself. You guys can lay it out. Go for it.
You're fine. Go. No.
No, I mean, it is, you're right, though. It is filmed sort of like a horror movie with so much darkness. And it also, so basically she turns 18, and I guess on every Slayer's 18th birthday, they go through this thing called the Cruciamentum, and they have to, like, get their powers taken away and then fight a vampire. And if they
like
survive, then they, like, pass the test. Essentially. Well, yeah, he's, like, a crazy, like, I don't know if he's, like, a pedophile, but he's, like, a crazy psycho weirdo vampire.
He has
that, like,
mommy issues.
Yeah, mommy issues, and they just, like, keep him locked up most of the time. And so she has to basically defeat him with just her, like, smarts instead of her powers. And it's actually, like, it's such a cool commentary on, like, what am I supposed to do without this thing that I finally made my peace with? Like, she even says something sort of like that, where she's like, I wanted out of it at one point, but now that I don't have it, what am I supposed to do? I can't be a normal person. It's ridiculous. And there's arguments to be made that the council's trying to get rid of her, and that's why they gave her Kralik, because
why would they be trying to get rid of her? Because she's too
willful.
Yeah, she has opinions and thoughts. And those ladies with those thoughts are really dangerous. We can't have those around.
And Giles isn't technically doing his job because he loves her.
I get that, but no, I get that. But I mean, Faith is just as wild. And it's yet. Like, they would just rather go through them like Kleenexes rather than...
Sort of. But that is the thing for me, is like, you would have to kill both of them because the line doesn't run through Buffy anymore. It runs through Faith. So if they kill Buffy, then Faith is it. They'd have to kill Faith also if they wanted to start fresh. But the council, I mean, that is like a thing, is they're just a bunch of old British dudes who don't know what's going on. I mean, using these women as tools.
My third note, as I said, it is shocking how much they commodify teenage girls' lives and bodies.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Being like 34 watching this, I'm like, it feels like there's like metaphors in here somewhere.
There's a fuckload of metaphors in here.
Well, and it's nothing but Little Red Riding Hood. I mean, at one point she is literally running around in a red coat, and the vampire's name, I didn't write it down. I can't remember.
Kralik.
Yeah. So he even says, stray from the path, you'll lose your way, to bring these sweets to grandmother's house. I just thought it was really interesting. And then also because the previous episode was about Hansel and Gretel. It's just like these really interesting fairy tales. But yeah, there was a lot of kind of like, you know, these girls, you know, from going from child to woman, and they're ripe for the picking, and they have to kind of like figure out how they need to exist in the world, and they can't really rely on their bodies, so they have to rely on their smarts. And it's just a very interesting commentation or commentary on
I
that.
like commentation.
I was there.
That's going to be my shirt. There
commentation. And then I just wrote Xander's the worst. And I just wrote how much he loved the fact that Buffy lost her strength. And then he tried to open the peanut butter.
Yeah. Xander, okay. That actually... Because, okay, I'll say one more thing. No, I know. I'll say one more thing about the episode Helpless, which is that I love what it does for Buffy and Giles' relationship. It's sort of like a watershed moment, because when she finds out what he's done, she's furious at him, but it doesn't even take the rest of the episode for her to, like, forgive him, basically.
Yep.
And the one moment after she finds out, and then Cordelia comes in to research her paper on Bosnia, and she's like, Cordelia, can you drive me home? And without missing a beat, Cordelia's like, yeah, definitely. I'll take you right now. That moment between them, I think, is really sweet. And then when Buffy lets Giles, like, comfort her and, like, tend her wounds at the end, I think that is super great. I love their relationship up until season 7. Season 6. But regardless, I think that's a solidifying moment for their relationship, because even up until like one episode before, he's kind of short with her, and he's like frustrated, and he gets like, he doesn't understand why she's such a child still and everything. And this is like that moment between a father and daughter where it's like, no, you're an adult. I have to let you make your decisions. This is how it's going to go. But I'm still going to be upset with you sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I just like it a lot. But you're right about Xander being the worst, which can lead us to the next episode, because I know Rachel has things to say. Because it's the Zeppo. And the only thing I'll say first is that this is one of my favorite episodes of the series. And I think that it is, to a point, the least offensive Xander almost ever is. So I'm curious why you think the opposite.
He just grates on my nerves. And he already, yes, like he is bending over backwards as much as he can for people like throughout the series and just being a support system, but he's just so worthless, and I just hate it. And it just, I don't know. I'm also coming from a place of like really heavy like cynicism, just current life situation
Towards men.
stuff. So yeah.
Towards straight men, yeah.
Because all of you men are hot garbage, all of you. And I say that from a place of kind of love, but just kind of love. But yeah, I'm just not interested. Like, I had a really hard time trying to stay engaged with this episode, because it's like, I'm not here for this. And I think it's hysterical that like the world almost ended and it was like very perilous, and he is just like so in his own world that he doesn't have any inkling that any of that just happened.
No, he does though.
But still, well, then that makes it worse, because he knows that it's happening, and he's just like, well, but I have to be cool, man. I have to go get my 57 Chevy Bel Air.
Okay.
That's Robin's Egg Blue or whatever. And just like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll just do whatever.
Okay, two things. That car is the tits, so.
Oh, yes. No, that is honestly my dream car. No, I'm not, trust me, I am not fully shitting on a Chevy Bel Air, especially that Robin's Egg Blue. I am literally that girl that's like, is this your car? That would be me.
Okay, so second thing, he does know all of the stuff is happening, and he tries like 4 different times, like once with everybody, to try to help them to get out of this alternate thing that he's in, because he wants to get out of the other thing. They won't let him help because they think he's a liability. And that's like the whole point of the episode, is that it turns out he's not a liability, and he's done this whole thing that they don't know about that was actually quite heroic.
I see your point, but I guess my frustration comes with the fact that if he really wanted to help, he should have tried harder. He just gave up too easily. And I think that's just what bothered me about it.
I mean, I get it.
I think Rachel's responding to the fact that it's a Xander episode, period.
No, I get it. I am certainly not a Xander apologist at this point in my life. I think Xander is like a problem in general. But like,
yeah.
And I think it's also some of the strongest work from Nicholas Brennan in the series. Specifically.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Over the yellow crayon scene?
I said some of the strongest work.
Okay.
The yellow crayon scene is great.
That's, for me, that scene is his only redeeming bit at all.
Well, I especially like the part where he's in the basement with the dead guy, and he's like,
I like the quiet.
Yeah, I love that part. It's so good.
I get, like, I would 100% appreciate it, and I mean, good for Xander for, like, coming into his own, I guess, but it's just, like, you're such a hard douche. Like, I hate you so much.
Again, I don't disagree. I'm in agreement with you on Xander in general. I just think that this is a good episode for him.
Well, I feel like we should note, because I forgot completely, but I always forget that Faith is the one who deflowered Xander.
She sure is. She sure is.
I definitely just looked at my notes. My third note is 7 minutes and 34 seconds into this episode. I'm officially bored.
So are we ready to... Oh, well, I said this episode has a lot of those fun smash cuts where they finish each other's sandwiches.
Oh.
So, okay, the next one is 14 Bad Girls.
Yes. This is where I think everybody did, but I start having I Season 3 Faith is such an enigma. And I don't think that Eliza Dushku was doing anything wrong. I think she just was doing it to 11. And
also,
it didn't need to.
Gorgeous. I forgot how pretty she is.
She's still very pretty.
Stunning.
Today.
Yeah.
But I agree. And all the dark lips and like the dark eye makeup and everything, it's like, it really works. But the other thing is that like the way that she acts also makes me annoyed with Buffy. Because Faith is right to a point where she's like, you need to, it's not just your job. This is what we were built for. You need to like, get into it.
It's something that the two of you wouldn't understand about, like when you have a toxic friend.
Beg pardon?
Yeah.
Toxic female relationships.
Unbelievable pardon.
Like the one friend who made me become a klepto when I was 15, and then she got busted and I got too good and I had to quit because I got too good. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Will's the one that made me become a klepto.
One time!
Yeah, the last thing I took was a pair of sandals, and I forget who I was with, but they were like, I didn't even notice you taking that. And I was like, oh God, I don't know my own strength. I have to stop. This is so terrible.
You went big. I only ever took things I could fit in my pocket.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, girl, the first time I stole something was a full-size perfume from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
My crown jewel was Clueless on DVD from Suncoast.
Shit.
I stopped when I got old enough to actually get in trouble.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm 16 now. I could actually get in like legal trouble. I need to cut this out.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh.
And then I did once when I was 23 just to see if I still could, and it was just glitter.
I think last time I was like 19 or 20 and it was eyeliner from CVS.
So anyway, so which one are we? Are we Faith or are we Buffy?
Well, that's the thing is like, that's what annoys me is that there's no middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, Faith can't be Buffy, obviously, but Buffy also is kind of a stick in the mud. Where she's like, she doesn't enjoy it. And it's even like at the beginning of the season when the first episode with Faith, where she's like, aren't you just like starved or whatever after slaying or whatever? And Buffy's like, sometimes they crave a non-fat yogurt. And it's like, okay, bitch, like eat a cheeseburger for crying out loud. And
I mean, you need the protein.
This is where
that's the kind of stuff.
This is where I wrote my note where I was like, is slaying sometimes a metaphor for sex?
100%. 100% it is. And that's obviously what you're supposed to get from it is that Faith is all, liberated and everything and Buffy's all buttoned up. But I just think there should be more of a middle ground and there isn't. And that's why like stuff that comes later is so that's why season 6 is so dark and fraught.
I feel like Buffy is the middle ground because she doesn't just follow the rules. Like Buffy is the like have your cake and eat it too.
She doesn't
have fun.
She doesn't just follow the Slayer rules, but she follows human rules. Mm-hmm. She follows the rules of society in a way that she shouldn't all the time. There's an argument to be made that like Buffy slut shames herself.
Oh, well,
yeah.
But that's where the show, and this is what some of our Xander hate, a lot of our Xander hate is not so much that we actually hate Xander, it's more of the time in which the show took place.
Well, sure, because Xander today would be,
less.
or gay or something, but yeah.
Well, and it's the kind of thing that, I mean, I mentioned back in our season 3 part 1 coverage where I was like, we spend 2.5 seasons of Buffy having this onus, this burden, and then in comes Faith, who is like, not only super like she is, but also an actual peer, like the same age, and they even get along and stuff. And so it makes a ton of sense for me, at least, that Buffy goes down this path with her.
No, it definitely makes sense. I wish that Buffy landed in more of a middle ground as opposed to she goes even further than where she was before. Mm-hmm. Like she goes too good after this because she like got a taste of it and got scared.
Yeah, but I like that. I mean, it's the Galadriel thing.
In place of a dark lord, you would have a queen, not dark but beautiful and terrible as the dawn.
Galadriel is like a straight bitch, though. Like.
But I mean, it's like she tasted it and realized that it was too easy to go down that path, and she has to, or even Anne Hathaway in the first Alice in Wonderland movie, Where it's like
I get it.
she has to make a conscious decision to put herself as far away from that as possible.
I get it. Well, leaving all of that aside, this is the episode where Faith kills the deputy mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And then starts down her actual path to actual badness.
I feel like we've talked about this before, but I love the mayor so much. I think he's
one of the better
so
villains.
Great.
Yeah, he's one of the better villains on the show.
He's so funny. And the way that he's played so straightforward is just how creepy his relationship with his Faith, but it's like somehow creepier because it's not creepy. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where she calls him sugar daddy in one episode, and he's like, "That's foul! Like, don't don't do
it's
that."
Somehow worse.
Yeah, because he's like infantilizing her,
well, and then he's like, I know what will ail you, or cure what ails you, and he pours her like the biggest glass of milk.
Yeah.
I know. It's just like, I can't. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with wanting strong teeth and bones. It's like, that's just too much. It's too much milk, man.
It's just like, ugh. Especially if you don't have any cookies with
and
it.
Then he
like,
sits down and just
glass
watches
of
her
milk.
drink all of it. Like,
Oh God.
Oh,
oh my God. I'm literally like, my feet are like, I'm kicking. Oh my God. So, yeah. I knew. I had another note. I was like, this is the episode with that iconic shot of Buffy and Faith dancing.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a note that says, so much white people dancing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I love a good hair flip too, but Sarah Michelle Gellar, we need to work on that.
I mean, it's Southern California.
It's defined a generation. Like,
it did define a generation. Also, I'll say, generally, they aren't dancing to the music that we are hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be part of it too. There's like usually different music playing when they're filming.
Somehow footage.
Eliza Dushku was doing all right.
Somehow that footage has like ended up in the public domain or something because it's used as a reference for animation.
Is it?
It's been used several times, one of which is an episode of that X-Men cartoon where they just completely traced it. It's like rotoscoped.
Oh,
and
funny.
it's like, it's popped up several times in animation since then.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's wild.
I think the next one we did was 16, right? I skipped over.
Well, I have a note for consequences, and I said it's about consequences regarding Faith killing the deputy mayor.
Thanks.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, or if you watched Sex and the City like at length. The detective is the guy from the Dildo Model episode when they're in LA.
I did not.
Don't remember that episode. But thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I was like, hey, I know him. He's the one who's a dildo model. And it's like, this is weird.
That is funny.
So 16 is you guys' favorite? One of your favorites?
Rachel said, yeah.
Doppelgangland. Yes.
I do love it because I like any flavor of Evil Willow.
Oh my God. The choices that she made.
Yeah.
To differentiate between good Willow and bad Willow. Amazing.
Well, and also then coming later, good evil vampire Willow and actual evil Willow. It's like, it's all kind of the same, but it's all kind of different. It's so good.
Yes. And then just like when evil vampire Willow was like, had the vampire down and she was asking who he worked for and just how she would like caress his fingers before she broke them.
Yeah.
And just the subtle differences between the two, it was just amazing. And that is the ugliest outfit I have ever seen in my entire life. Yes.
I like her. I think I like the skirt and the tights that she's wearing.
That's what her doll is wearing. She has one of the 1/6 scale dolls and it's wearing the pink sweater.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I kind of love it because I just hate it so much.
I mean, it is nothing if not iconic.
Yeah.
So this is the second or the third time that we see Anya?
This is the second time we see Anya.
I think this is the third, because doesn't she...
Where else was she? I think it's the second.
It's the second time.
Okay. And I did say this is another one of my favorite things about this show, is how they actually just organically let the cast ebb and flow.
Yep.
Because, I wonder at what point, there's no way when they cast her in her first episode that they were, series regular, iconic character from this.
No, I think it was sort of like, Spike, where he signed on for like a 3-episode arc and they just liked him. Like he and Drusilla weren't supposed to be the villains for the whole season 2, but they just liked him and he tested really well, so they kept him around. And I think the same thing happened with Emma Caulfield, where she was in the first one and I think they had this one planned as well, but then after this one, I think she got popular and then they asked her for a couple episodes at the end of the season and then she came back as like a regular in season 4. I think that's how her progression happened.
When I sat down to watch the show finally, I knew almost everything about it. So I was sort of robbed of those experiences of being like, oh, interesting. I guess this person is just on the show now. Like,
there's a couple I wish were like a little more than that, but yeah.
This also introduces one of my favorite tertiary characters in the whole series, which is Percy.
Oh, Percy is great. I wish Percy stuck around later.
Yeah. I was like, why do you create a character that's interesting like that and then just be like, see ya? Like,
because I think they mentioned I think he makes it through graduation.
Yeah, him and
Larry
Jonathan make it.
And Jonathan, Jonathan makes it because he's in season 4.
Yeah. But Harmony doesn't. We're not there yet, but do you remember how upset I was? And you were just kind of like, keep watching.
Yeah, she's fine. Harmony's fine. I mean, she's dead, but she's fine.
And I also, I noticed this time that we get a little nod at Willow being gay later.
Yeah.
Because when she says, like, yeah, I think I'm kind of gay, and Angel says, well, and they're like, well, you know, a vampire doesn't reflect any of what the person truly was.
That's
and
because Angel's a liar.
Yeah. And then Angel is like, well, actually, never mind, good point.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, oh my God, I never noticed that until this time.
The vampires do reflect what a person is?
Yes.
It like heightens it.
It heightens what you naturally are.
Okay.
It basically just takes away all of your inhibitions.
You just said, yeah, because Angel's a liar.
Yeah, he's a fucking lying lie pants. I hate him. I hate him so much on this show.
He's out Willow to herself.
No, not that part. Because he says things like that so that they won't look any closer at him. He was a bad human. That's why he's such a bad vampire.
Okay.
When he doesn't have the soul that's almost definitely not his own.
Okay. So, moving on.
It makes me so mad.
Episode 18, Earshot. This is the one that they kind of had
They had a delay.
They had to delay it because of Columbine.
Yeah.
Because of Jonathan and the gun at the end.
Buffy fought one of those 2 demon thingies, and it got its blood on her, so now she's infected and maybe growing something, hopefully not a penis.
That is pretty much the extent of that conversation she has with Willow.
And then, okay, so I feel bad for Oz because I don't like him, and it has so little to do with him. It's just that because I like Tara so much, and he was just in the way.
I thought you came around on Oz. I thought you came around on Oz.
Well, I mean, I do at these moments, but like my knee-jerk reaction is like it's filler. Like, I'm like, this is just wasting time before we get to the real story. That's kind of how I feel. And I know you feel differently.
I disagree.
And you explained yourself, and I agree. But there are moments where it's like, that's just sort of my knee jerk, is to be like, okay, we're still doing this. That's my knee jerk reaction. And so I did write in this one where I was like, do Oz and Xander not hang out all that much because of the way they're talking to each other? And Oz just has this like, he's very pensive in a way that I feel like
he's very zen.
Yeah. And because I forgot what Xander says, but Oz just goes, you're a complicated man, aren't you?
I love Oz. Part of it is probably because I love Seth Green so much, but I think
and
Oz
he
is
went
great.
on a hair journey this season.
He did, yeah. Every episode he's got different hair. But the problem for me is like Seth Green like asked to leave the show after or in the middle of season 4 because he wasn't getting material. And so they wrote him out, and then he literally never came back, even though some other characters did. And so I feel a little bad for Seth Green. And I love Tara. I think obviously Tara is who Willow is meant to be with, but I don't know. I love Oz. I think she loved him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm admitting. I'm just saying it's a surprise to me when I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And I mean, I started the conversation by feeling like I feel bad that I didn't get to watch this organically the first time.
Gotcha. Okay. Because you already knew about Tara.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I feel like I never gave him a proper shot. It was like,
Gotcha.
like in a way that I'm not capable of. But
I get it.
Okay, right. So this is the one where Buffy can hear everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
And it was hellish. And
Well, it was cool at first.
well, it was fun at first.
Yeah.
And they went in. I mean, this was like a show for teenagers on the WB, but some of those thoughts, I was like, yikes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I do love, my favorite thing about it is how Cordelia says everything that she thinks.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's my favorite part.
That she doesn't,
whatever. Can I go now?
she doesn't have like an inner monologue. Like she's just, and that's kind of what I've said, where it's like, I forgot how rude she is in this string of episodes, because I have a note.
She really is.
Well, she's still mad at Xander for cheating.
Yeah, but it's like they didn't quite know what to do with Charisma Carpenter, so they trotted her out in the beginning of every episode to say something like ruthlessly mean.
Also, she just looks like someone's mom who left a board meeting.
Yeah. Well, I think she's one of the older ones of them. So she was like already older than the rest of them, and so she's just stacked.
I mean, she is, but when she, just watching it this go around, I was like, I don't remember her looking this old, but she definitely, like, looks like she should be telling someone to, like, go home because you're past your curfew or whatever.
They youth up her wardrobe on Angel.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, they're like adults by that point, so I feel like it's not quite as jarring.
She's 19, but...
Yeah, but still, it's like it's 16 and 19. I mean, there's a definite divide between those two. I do spend a decent amount of time defending Cordelia, and it's like, I know that she has a tendency to say mean things, and she can be rude and stuff, but my whole argument was always that Cordelia tells you, she shows you who she is up front.
Yeah.
And yet they somehow still manage to be shocked and or like what? Like grasping.
They keep being surprised.
Yeah, and it's like, this checks. Like, this is completely, in line. And again, she's also another one of the characters that I think she is a little bit a result of the time. I feel like the mean girl probably wouldn't be quite as
cutting.
Yeah, ruthless like nowadays.
Well, again, I'll say everybody that like moves from Buffy to Angel evens out on Angel. Mm-hmm. They're like less extreme.
But yeah, I did always love that at the end it wasn't Jonathan.
Yeah, it was the lunch lady.
Yeah. Well, the way that Xander stumbles upon her with the like rat voice,
housing Jello. I always thought it was weird that Jonathan was like setting up a fucking sniper rifle to kill himself.
Yes, yes,
like Jonathan.
That's so. Your arms are not that long, my dude.
Exactly.
Like you're not. It's not gonna work.
Well, he was waiting for Courtney Love to get there.
I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna make the same joke. Oh my god. Nice job. You beat me to it.
Oh my god.
So,
hold on, wait. My favorite thing about the episode always is how Buffy finds out that Joyce and Giles had sex in the band.
Yes, and then he walks into the tree. Yes, so good.
So good. Well, she finds out because Joyce won't stay in the bedroom with her. And she's like, what don't you want me to know? And she's like, she just starts shouting it. She's like, you had sex with Giles on the hood of a police car twice? And then she confronts Giles at the end. It's so good. And I love how that comes up later in season 4 in the Faith episodes. Just
he walks back into the tree and then it just cuts. Like it just like smash cuts.
So good. So good.
So, 19-ish choices.
Did I make you watch that one? Did I make you watch that one?
No, I told you I watched pretty much all of it.
All right. Well, we did plow right over enemies, so.
Which one was that?
It was before Earshot. It's not hugely important. It was about the Books of Ascension. It's fine. Oh. We're good.
And Buffy pulls the sweetest burn by throwing a psych at Faith. I'd forgotten about that. That was great.
What is she?
We need to bring when she goes psych.
Oh,
when she when the ruse is dropped and she was like
yeah. Oh, because that's the one where I made my other tweet and I was like, I love that Angel, he just like holds on to all of his evil Angel stuff. Like he's got the like crushed velvet button up and the leather pants and the eyeliner
Yes.
on the off chance that he needs to like either go evil or pretend he's gone evil again. He just like, he's like, hold on. I could just imagine him and Faith being like, we're gonna, you made me evil. We're good to go. Hold on. I need to change before we go confront Buffy.
Yes,
I need to put my evil clothes on.
Let me throw in a lip real fast.
All right, choices.
Okay. I said there's a box and everybody wants a box.
Everybody does want the box. Just like shout out to Linda Holmes.
So the mayor can ascend, but then the Scooby Gang's what? I note completely. I literally wrote, but then Scooby steals Willow. So I don't know.
well,
I had a stroke while I was.
Yeah, right. They go to get the box. It's full of those creepy the Gavrocks, the creepy spiders. And while they're trying to do it, the mayor kidnaps Willow. So they decide to trade the box back for Willow. And then,
this is the one where Faith just straight punches Willow in the face.
In the face, yeah. And she's like, Willow's like talking back to her essentially, and Faith is like threatening to stab her, and she ends up stealing some pages from the Book of Ascension so that they can get like a head start on it or whatever. It's a really good episode. It's also one of my favorite Principal Snyder moments because they're like doing the trade in the cafeteria at the high school, and Snyder comes in with two of those like incompetent Sunnydale cops, and everything goes to shit, obviously. And when they're all leaving, he's like, "Why couldn't you just be dealing drugs like normal people?" Because there are all these fucking creepy spiders that the mayor has to eat running around, and like, I don't know, did one of the cops die or something? It's all over the place.
Yeah, I think so. Went like for his face or whatever.
Yeah.
The next one is the prom. I actually love this episode.
It's so good.
Although I don't know why they put that hellhound in a chicken coop. Like,
was it not in like I thought it was in like a dog crate.
Sure, that's strong enough.
That'll do the trick.
I also overwhelmingly prefer Teen Wolf's hellhound.
Well, sure. I mean,
because he's naked and on fire.
He's also hot. I mean,
it's a hot dude. Their Teen Wolf version of a hellhound is a hot dude naked and on fire.
But not all the way naked. He's wearing like boxer briefs most of the time.
Finally, they put like the Hulk pants on him.
Yeah.
But for like the first 2 or 3 times he did it, he was naked. Like,
was he like full naked? Okay, all right. It's been a minute since I watched those episodes.
Yeah, he walks through he like burns through the metal bars of the jail. It was real sexy.
It was pretty sexy. These hellhounds are decidedly less sexy.
Yeah, they're men running on all fours.
Yes.
In rubber suits.
We know how much Will likes that.
So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, Anya's back, and well, I wrote down that she asks Candor to the prom.
The X and the C are right next to each other. You're fine.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this episode is, well, my favorite part of most of these episodes is how we haven't mentioned Wesley at all.
Oh, yes,
but he is just like lusting after Cordelia the entire time. And
it felt like a bold storytelling choice.
Well, it's like Giles says in this episode, she's 18. And he's not a teacher.
And Denise, you have the emotional maturity of
a blueberry scone.
Yeah.
Just have at it and leave me alone. It's one of my favorite deliveries from Giles in the whole series. Going along with one in the next episode where Xander asks if he wants, or why he's not drinking tea, and he says, "Tea is soothing, I wish to be tense." I fucking love it. But I love all of that stuff. This is another, I'm sure Rachel's gonna disagree with me, but this is another Xander moment I really like when he buys Cordelia her prom dress because she can't afford it.
So I wrote down a note that says, Xander buying Cordelia's dress, heart.
Oh, it's so nice,
cute.
right? It's very cute.
Although, like I said, by this point I was watching it with Corey, so I wrote down a couple of like comments from her. And when she was asking me questions about the show, she just referred to Xander as the douchebag. I like didn't instruct her to say that. She was just like, the one, the douchebag.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong at all.
Also, I do not remember that wedding scene at all.
It's awful. It's just awful.
Yeah.
just the most awful, so overwrought and ridiculous. Of course, Buffy's the one who burns to ash like a vampire. Because Angel's like holding her back or whatever. Ugh.
Well, and at first I was like, the wedding dress isn't that bad. I was like, that's really nice. And she like turns around and is walking down, and we get the 3/4 sleeve, and I was like, there's the 90s.
That's not great.
Well, in the beginning of this episode, it's Angel staring at Buffy while she's sleeping. If I woke up to a man hard staring at me like that, I wouldn't be like, oh, haha, do I have bad bedhead? I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it's not the first time either.
I know. It's just so much staring. So much staring.
Too much staring while she's asleep. And that was like his go-to MO when he was evil. It's just gross.
All he's done since he knew her was just stare at her. That's all he does.
From up
the
close
only thing
and
that
afar.
changes is the music in the background.
Ugh, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Also, his
between romantic to menacing.
His 100% concrete all the time mansion is not good. I don't like the Crawford Street mansion. It's not good.
Like, Joyce just showed up there, and I was like, "Bitch, how do you know where this is?"
I mean, it's like the mansion on the edge of town.
Yeah, I guess
Everybody knows it's there.
And I love that he always has a fire lit.
Well, he's cold, Rachel.
Oh my god,
it's Southern California.
Yeah, but he's dead.
But he can't feel anything though, right?
I'm sure it's just for the hashtag aesthetic.
Mm. Well, I mean, if he needs to warm up, he can always throw on a fucking sweater instead of wearing a fucking tank top all the time.
No.
Doing his goddamn Tai Chi, I hate it.
No sweaters, ew. Also, this one has that song. I just figured Kristin would talk about how amazing the Wild Horses song was.
That's an
Horses. Oh
it's
my
an
god,
excellent
that's all
cover.
I think of anytime I hear that song. I always am like, Angel, is he gonna come ask me to dance somewhere?
I mean, I don't get excited about that part of it. I just like the song.
It's
It's just a really good song. Yeah, it's like originally the Rolling Stones, but it's a cover some lady in this episode. But I also want to talk about, before we move on, Buffy's prom dress, which is the best prom dress on any TV show ever.
Oh, I looked for that when it was time for like junior year prom. I was holding out hope that I could find that somewhere, and I could not.
It is beautiful, and the little scene where they give her the class protector award is the cutest.
The umbrella, yeah.
Oh,
the actual cutest. I love it so much.
It was just so refreshing that finally the show acknowledged itself. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you do know that this is insane. And I love how casually they're like, we have the lowest mortality rate
of any graduating class in the history of Sunnydale High.
And everyone's just looking at each other like, yeah, good job. Yeah. We're alive.
I love how Willow's entire look is just like 100% back in fashion right now.
Yeah.
Like even the hair, like
pretty much everything.
The bra strap headbands. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah.
Oh my god, they are so impractical and do not work. But oh god, I wish they worked so badly, and they would never stay in my hair.
I like bought one myself because my mom wouldn't buy me one because she thought it was inappropriate. So she also wouldn't let me have one of those shirts that had like 2 zeros on the front, like a team shirt that had 2 zeros. And I was like, why? And she was like, because of your breasts. And I was like, ugh. She was like, it makes people look at you. And I was like, yeah, I would like it if more people looked at me.
I bought a shirt one time from Pacific Somewhere that was like, boys only want one thing and I've got what they need. And and I showed my mom when I walked out of the store, and she marched me right back in the store, made me return it, and then read the guy for filth for allowing me to buy it.
That is hilarious.
Like, what? I'm a fun person. Guys like that. And she was like, that's not what that means.
Not what it means.
Do you remember when you had you got a Victoria's Secret account?
Yes.
You got some stuff and you had to send it all the mail to my house?
Oh my God.
And somehow, I don't know why you didn't use my name. We put it, for whatever reason, we put it in Andrew's name. I guess just because we thought it would be funny. And so for like 5 years, my parents got Victoria's Secret stuff to Andrea Brooks.
That is hysterical.
Because she got a couple like bustiers and like you kept it at my house for like a month because you were afraid to bring it home.
Yeah, that checks. That checks.
So, okay.
Super
Anyways. So we're making like incredible time, actually. We were trying to keep this one a little bit tight, but
We're doing good. We've only got these 2 episodes.
We got 2 episodes left. So Graduation, part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Man, another prime example of a time that Angel could have died and we would have been saved a lot of grief.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have Angel.
What?
But then you wouldn't have Angel.
It would be fine.
You'd be fine without the show Angel.
If I never knew it was supposed to exist, I'm sure I would be fine. I just don't like his whole deal with Buffy. First of all, in the prom episode, he literally is like, I'm gonna leave, and there's nothing that you can do to stop me. You deserve a normal life. And for the first and only time she ever argues back and says, I can't have a normal life no matter what, because every time after this, she's like, I deserve a normal life.
Yeah.
And then later he's like, I'm not gonna even say goodbye. I'm just gonna leave. You won't see me during or after the battle. And I'm like, you are unbelievable to me.
Yeah, after she literally saved his life, and then he was like, I'm not going to say bye. And she's just like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. It's great. He's such a good guy. Absolutely, he should be the like benchmark upon which she measures every other man in her life.
So I have a note in here. I was like, the show is actually so well plotted.
Yeah.
And it was in reference to how Anya was there to fill in the like Ascension stuff.
Because she's 1,120 years old.
Yeah, I was like, that's actually really handy. Like, it's really good.
It is something that it annoys me going forward that they don't use her for that more.
Yeah.
Like that she doesn't have more information on stuff. It seems like she would have more information on so much stuff, but Xander really subjugates her in a way that bums me out.
Yeah, because he is the literal worst.
Yeah.
These episodes can't just be us complaining about Xander and Angel.
They sure can. Well, starting next season, they're going to be about me complaining about Xander and Riley, so let's buckle up.
Well, regardless of the fact whether or not I am back on for those conversations, I think I might go back and rewatch those episodes anyway, because we've all had this conversation because I liked Riley and I was really bummed that he went away. And I think I'm the only person that liked Riley. So now, having gone through life experiences, I'm curious if my opinion about him will change.
Will likes Riley.
Well, I like him because I think he's the cutest.
Will thinks Mark Blucas is hot.
Yeah.
Which is
fair.
Which is fact.
I liked him up until like his like fraternity got crazy.
So
which is like the season. Yeah. Well, like which is the point of the season. But
no, he gets to a point where he subjugates Buffy in the same way, where he just is like, he doesn't like that she's stronger than him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is infuriating.
Yes.
So this is where I have the most notes from Corey, because there was one point, and I didn't write down what it was in reference to, but Cordelia says, what's her saga about somebody? And Corey cracked up, and she just goes, what a slow burn.
Yeah, it's so good. It is really good. Cordelia has a lot of those, because one of the first ones that she said that you liked so much was, what's your childhood trauma? That was like, that's early in the series, though.
Like, so casually implying someone has a saga.
Yeah.
It's so patronizing. Like
it's along the lines of like, oh, I'm playing the world's smallest violin.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, what's your saga?
I also have no memory of Willow and Oz having sex.
Oh yeah. It's very handled casually and under the radar.
Yeah.
It's not it's not like a whole plot device like Buffy losing her virginity. They just do it.
I know I've seen these episodes because I like especially remember the end of episode 2 of Graduation, part 2 of Graduation. But like watching this again, some of it was like honestly the first time I'd ever seen it. I was like, I don't know what any of this is.
Like which parts?
Well, Willow and Oz having sex.
Oh, okay, fair.
And there was the Buffy and Angel getting married. That feels like imagery that I would have remembered.
Yeah, I mean,
I might have been like napping, like I might have fallen asleep while we were watching it or something.
That definitely could be, because this is only your second time watching. Mm-hmm. This is like my 11th time watching.
Corey also literally verbatim said, and again, I didn't write down. Oh, yes, I did. About Willow sending Xander to the magic shop to get stuff for the Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Corey says, oh my God, Willow is such a baddie and she doesn't even realize it. She's just like, put it on my tab.
I mean, she should have a tab at the magic shop.
And then,
at this point.
And then Corey complained a lot about what Buffy was wearing. And she said she's supposed to be 18, but she's dressing like she's 50. Why? Just because she's hot?
She's got a lot of sweater sets.
Uh-huh.
A lot of slacks and sweater sets.
There were some coats.
and I love that, like, when she goes to fight Faith, she isn't head to toe leather.
Yeah.
Like, she has, and it's like the red leather pants, and it's just like, so she doesn't even have to say, but like, her outfit is just screaming, I'm here to fuck shit up.
Yeah. Or to fuck you, depending how good this fight goes.
I mean, depending, yes.
I think if the show were airing today, they would have been boning.
You think so?
100%.
Buffy and Faith?
Yeah.
I mean, they maybe. I'm not going to say definitely, but that is a direction it could have gone, or certainly the subtext.
That is one of my very favorite stories about Joss Whedon. Is when this season was airing, he would like go on the message boards and stuff, and people were going nuts about Buffy and Faith, and they were like, "Oh my God, the subtext!" And he like went on the message board and was like, "You guys are wrong. Like, that's not how it's not what we're doing at all." And then they were like, told him, we're like, go back and watch your own show, man. And he did. And he was like, oh, I see what you're saying now. He like got it on Rewatch, basically. But he did not, like, at the beginning, he was like, you guys are picking up things we're not putting down. And then he was like, oh, we were putting that down by accident.
Sarah Gamble said a very similar thing on The Hollywood Reporter she was just on, where she was like, they were talking about You on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know when they filmed it, but I was reading into what she was saying. I was reading a lot of magicians into it.
Yeah.
And she was a little bit defensive, where she was like, as a creator, she was like, it's my job to create. She was like, I'm not really all that interested in the feedback. Mm-hmm. She was like, once we've created it, it's on the audience to interpret. And she was like, and it is to them whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
And so it was just it was a really interesting way, because we really think of creators having ownership over this stuff. And to an extent, I agree with that. But I find it fascinating when creators are sort of like, it's up to you. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think you can put out with all the best intention what you think is, you know, like with all of this, what you think is very clearly only a platonic, like, sisterly relationship between these two girls. But the way that they are playing it is then an added layer on top of that. And then the way that me as the audience member interprets it, which is that there is a boatload of sexual tension between the two of them, is a whole other layer.
Well, and it reflects reality that way, because it's kind of how there is no such thing as the truth. There's only people's versions of the truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, Faith and or Buffy, might be reading more into the relationship than the other, in a way that, like, we treat the show as yes. But
just saying.
We treat the show as gospel in a way that's not how stories work. And
right. It's a relationship that I wish would have gotten explored more. Like, I wish that Faith had come back more often, but after what happens in season 4, she's indisposed for a while. So, but I wish that we could have had more interaction between the two of them. I guess is my thing, especially because there then is so much baggage between them, and they don't really even sort it out in season 7 when she comes back to Buffy, which I always was kind of, it's like implied that they do it off camera or whatever, but it bums me out that they don't have like a conversation.
The show has nothing but time. Like,
yeah.
I think that's the thing that, again, I personally have the hardest time truly connecting with, is that I feel like it was right on the cusp of like a revolutionary change in entertainment.
Yeah. And
it was in the negative way for me. Like, it's too much a relic of the old way and not.
No, I actually agree with you.
Because when, again, for the 80th time, I was watching this with Corey, and she was like kind of getting into it. And so she said, how many seasons are there? And I said 7. And she said, awesome. How many episodes a season? And I said, well, season 1 has 12. I said, and then from there on, it's 22. And she went, 22? She was like, nope, can't do it. Like,
because I say this every time we talk about it, because I think that every single season has filler episodes that you could lose and not lose anything else.
Much of the plot, yeah.
Except for season 7. Season 7 has one episode that I skip every time I watch it, and that's it. I watch every single episode of season 7 every time I watch it because I think it's the most tightly plotted episode or season.
Which episode do you skip? I'm just curious.
The one where Willow turns into Warren after she kisses Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it so much. Because I hate Warren and I hate Kennedy, and so it's like chock full of both of them, and I can't handle it.
Yeah, I think I don't pay much attention to that one either. Interesting. Okay.
And it's like, I think this show, like, if this show every season had like 15 episodes, that feels so much more concise.
I would say even 18 would be fine. But because there's like from the back half of this season, I obviously, like we already talked about, I would cut amends. You could also cut consequences or like just work in the, homicide investigation into Bad Girls.
I was gonna say, you can sprinkle it amongst the other episodes and
exactly. That's the thing.
Because we've gotten so used to the new order of things with like our 13 and 10 episode and even, 8 episode shows.
Yeah.
That it's like, I'm kind of like, oh my God, do you remember the old days?
I do. I really do.
So moving on to part 2 of Graduation, this is, and again, I forget this, oh my God, that when, it is so funny that the whole back of season 3, they're building up this thing between Cordelia and Wesley.
Yeah.
And
then they kiss and it's awful.
It's terrible. Oh my God. I love that she rubs her nose the first time and then just rubs her mouth the second time. And it's just like, oh my God. We've all been there. We're just like, you're kissing a person with a runny nose. Oh, it's the worst.
I think it was just like too much saliva.
I don't know. Or it
and
might
he
have been
was
a runny
like
nose.
everywhere.
And I love that he just like his arms are just outstretched instead of like really touching her, and it's just like
he can't figure out where to touch her, like what's going on. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's Graduation, and it's so funny when I was watching it because I was like, I straight remember it being nighttime.
Yeah, it's an eclipse.
Well, yeah, the eclipse happens, which that's not how eclipses work because it was
that's
like
how
full
supernatural eclipses work.
It was like full dark for like hours, but
well, I think it was long enough. The eclipse in the battle happened long enough that it was night. So like the very end, it's night.
Okay.
Like with all the ambulances and stuff. Yeah, it's night then.
So it got light again and then dark again. Okay.
When did it get light again?
It didn't.
No, I know. The eclipse lasted long enough for it to turn to night.
So then whatever planet was crossing in was moving
Just
at the
let it happen, man.
same rate and speed.
Just let it happen.
Suspend your belief.
It had to be dark so that Angel could like be in the billowy mist in the background and walk away.
So, anyways, the mayor turns into a big old snake thingy.
Yeah, and then Buffy taunts him with the knife covered in Faith's blood so that she can take him through the school where they've set up a huge explosion full of fertilizer and shit. Let's talk about an inappropriate thing for TV.
To make a bomb that way?
Yeah.
It was the 90s.
No, I know. I'm aware. Just like pounds and pounds and pounds of fertilizer. Like teaching people who watch Buffy how to make a friggin' homemade bomb.
Is this the first time Cordelia stakes someone?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah,
because she was always bait. It is not the last time.
We already mentioned Harmony got bit. They brought her back. Harmony is one of my favorite secondary characters. And as I already mentioned, I was very sad. But we'll keep watching.
Yep.
Yeah, I was mad they killed the gay guy.
Yeah.
Larry?
That was a bummer.
I thought Larry lived.
No, he dies.
Oh, that's right, because there is a thing later. Somebody brings up Larry. Maybe it's Harmony? Somebody brings up Larry, and Xander is like, Larry's gay now, and he's also dead. Oh no, it's way later. It's Amy. Amy asks about Larry.
Oh yeah.
Because she doesn't know how long she's been a rat, and she was like, I thought I might invite him to prom. And one of them's like, Willow's like, 2 things. Larry's gay, and Larry's dead. And she's
that almost makes it worth it.
Yeah, it's very good.
I did write down, but I knew I had already mentioned it, but I did write down like way earlier that the Amy is one of my favorite running plots.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Amy's a good time.
That they still talk about her and stuff.
Yep.
I have a note down that because Faith shoots a poison arrow into Angel and like, you know, he's dying actively and they're all like taking turns kind of trying to nurse him through it. And Willow's there like nursing him and he thinks it's Buffy. And so he starts like saying, you know, I don't want to leave you. I need you, la la la. And she was like, oh, hey, you know, I'm not Buffy. And then she goes out to tell Oz and Oz goes, you too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. I do love that part
it's
too.
so funny.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe neither one of you. I'm the one that has to bring up the fucking Angel biting Buffy so hard she comes.
When?
Oh yeah.
The blood of the Slayer was the cure, and so that's why she goes to try to kill Faith so that she can feed Faith to Angel, and then Faith jumps off the top of the building, and so Buffy feeds herself to Angel.
Oh.
And he's like biting her and they fall to the ground and his fucking pewter Ren Fair water pitcher falls over and she like crushes it to death with her hands.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was in the kitchen, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, it's hardcore. And then he takes her to the hospital because she's lost too much blood.
Yes, and so she literally saved his life, and then he just straight up like later days as her. So
Yeah. Which is
what a dick.
exactly what a man like Angel would do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like if Buffy put him through med school and then he left her for a younger model or something.
I don't know what that reference is.
Just almost anything where
okay,
a woman is like, I put you through med school and then you cheated on me.
You were like, turn on Hallmark Channel.
Or, you know, you move to 3 states and then he's just like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore now.
This got personal at the end.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, I guess I should have asked you this first, Rachel, but I was going to say, do you want people to follow you or interact with you?
Sure. I'm fairly active on Instagram. My handle is Raenutt, RAENUTT. I post a lot of fun makeup looks, and I'm obsessed with my cat. It's kind of awesome and weird at the same time.
Selfies and cats.
Selfies and cats. But really good makeup selfies.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Not just like shitty selfies.
Oh,
like
thanks.
I loved your Euphoria look.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I am in the process of ordering like sheets and sheets of the iridescent liner things. So I'm going to have lots of fun with those.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So she's super pretty. Look her up.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, and I don't really do anything on Twitter, so you don't need to follow me on Twitter. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, a couple people do. We try to like get you over there sometimes. It's the kind of thing that it's like Twitter's really hard to get into until you're into it, and then it's too late.
And I'm actively trying to do it, but I have to like think of doing it. Like when I was standing in line the other day, and I was really mad that I had to stand in line, and I made a tweet about it. So, but other than that, it's kind of like I don't think to do it. Mm-hmm. So I make pictures, not words.
Well, it's the same on Twitter too, right?
It is indeed at Raenutt.
So,
well, and I'm going to tag you in the post of this episode. So
this was really fun.
Yay!
Now you can do a couple more.
I would love to.
Yeah, definitely.
Like if any of the movies or anything comes out that you're like super into.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so we will tag Rachel and her Instagram in the show notes. And then, as always, you can follow us on Twitter at So I'm Watching, Instagram at So I'm Watching This Show. We're also on Facebook and Tumblr, So I'm Watching This Show. Maybe put Wild Horses on the Spotify playlist.
I was about to be like, Wild Horses.
And then, other than that, just please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen. And that's it for us.
Bye.
Bye.